Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. This is Lewis Brown. This is also Lewis Brown, the person who accidentally revealed himself on video after I'd ghosted him at the end of the scam. The scammers often continue trying to call through on Hangouts. I answer them, but I never speak. Usually when I'm telling these stories about scammers, I add little remarks and jokes as I go along the way. But Lewis Brown doesn't need much help from me. He can write his own jokes. Lewis was a group of scammers. At the beginning, you can see that whoever Celia was talking to could barely speak English. Towards the end, when they started to sense that she might give them money, you can see that the scammer that she was chatting to then spoke almost impeccable English. Lewis introduced himself to Celia. He said, "My country name is United State. Why, the inside my country is Chagio. I live in Illinois, inside Chagio. Illinois is the city. That's it." "Oh," said Celia. "So what do you do for a living?" he asked. "I'm an administrator," said Celia. "I work in the admissions office of one of our local colleges. Where's Chagio?" "Chagio is a state in USA, OK?" "Where in the USA?" asked Celia. "I've not heard of it. I can't find it on Google Maps. Did President Biden add a new state?" "I'm a marine engineer," he said. "You still haven't told me where Chagio is. It's not on the map. So where is it?" she asked. "Chicago," he replied, "is a city that is located in the state of Illinois, in the United States of America." "Oh, Chicago," said Celia. "You didn't say that before. You said Illinois was in Chagio. Now you're saying something different. Do you know where you are? Are you in prison?" "And you said Chagio is a state in the USA. Now you're telling me it's a city. Where are you really? In prison? In a mental hospital?" "I'm not in prison or mental hospital," he said, "OK? So how old are you?" "So if you aren't in a prison or a hospital, why don't you know where you are?" "I'm 45. "OK, friend," he said, "I'm 56. "But where are you?" asked Celia. "You can tell me. I don't mind if you're in prison. Sometimes they don't tell you where you are." "I'm not," he said. "So where are you?" she asked. "But Chagio have the largest mental hospital," he said. "Didn't we agree that Chagio doesn't exist, darling?" said Celia. "Do you have difficulty with reality?" "It exists, darling," he said. "OK," she said. "Where is it?" "Please, let's forget about it," he answered. "It really is OK to tell me where you are," said Celia. "I won't mind if you're in a mental hospital. Mental health issues are nothing to be ashamed of. You clearly have problems with reality in real life. So if I may ask, are you married or divorced?" "No, darling, I'm fine. I'm looking healthy, OK?" "So why do you keep telling me you live in a place that doesn't exist? It's OK to be honest with me," she said. "Chicago," he replied, "is a state in the United States of America, but is also a name of a hospital and a prison, because we also have college in Chicago and university also, so let's just forget about it and talk more about ourselves." "I know about Chicago, darling," she said, "but you keep telling me you live in Chagio, which we both know doesn't exist." "Like I said earlier, he replied, "Chicago is a state. Why, I live in Illinois. Illinois is a city where I live. I don't live in Chicago. Chicago is just my state." "Look, darling, we both know that isn't right, don't we?" she said. "Tell me what you do for a living, or did before they locked you up." "I've never been in a prison, please, and I've never been in prison, darling," he said. "I've explained to you several runs. Chicago is a state. Why, Illinois is a city where I live. I live in Illinois." "Darling," she said, "just look at a map. You know Chicago isn't a state, and you know Chagio doesn't exist. Why won't you tell me where you really are?" "I know," she said. "Why don't we just say you live in Missouri?" "This is the spelling of Chicago," he said. "Please check it." "Of course, darling," she said. "I know how to spell Chicago." "Chicago," he continued, "is a country in the United States. Illinois is a city. Please check it on Google app. But my own is telling me what I'm saying right now. Please, darling, just go back and check it more better. Or just ask the Google app that Chicago is the name of a state in the United States of America." "Well," she said, "I just looked on Google and it tells me Chicago is a city. Do you use a different version of Google? Now you're telling me Chicago is a separate country." "But my here is telling me that Chicago is a state in the United States of America. Why, Illinois is a city inside Chicago," he said. I understand, darling, Celia said. I can see you have real difficulties with reality. It's probably the medication they're giving you. You might be seeing things that aren't really there. Please read this, he replied. Chicago, on Lake Michigan in Illinois, is among the largest cities in the US. Famed for its bold architecture, it has a skyline punctuated by skyscrapers, such as the iconic John Hancock Center, etc., etc. So now you're telling me Chicago is a city, not a state, she said. Yes, he replied. It's your medication. It's playing tricks on your brain. Stop saying sure words, darling, he said. Are you clear now? Are you married or divorced? He asked Celia. My husband died 3 years ago, she said. OK, he said. LA. I'm divorced. What does LA mean? Asked Celia. Nothing, actually, he said, but was a mistake. You see, she said, you are having issues with reality, aren't you? I wish you'd tell me what your problem is. If anyone can tell me what the scammers mean when they type LA, please leave it in the comments down below. I've asked several people, and nobody can be absolutely certain what it is that they mean. No op, please, he replied. That was a mistake. What do you mean by no op? Said Celia. Are you in hospital waiting for an operation? Have they put you on morphine? Please, he said, stop saying that words. So what did you mean by no op? She asked. Not good, he replied. No, I'm busy right now. OK, she said, I understand if you don't want to tell me what your problem is. It's OK. So, you're looking for a new relationship? He asked. Of course, darling, said Celia. Are you allowed visitors? To which he replied, do you mind if we talk more better outside Facebook? And so they changed to Hangouts before his fake account was deleted. Fortunately, I'd screenshotted the conversation. Moving swiftly to Hangouts, he said, Hello, beautiful. How's your day going? Celia said it hasn't changed since we were on Facebook. Although, of course, the scammer she was talking to had changed. LOL, he said. OK, so what are you doing right now? Talking to you, she said. What are you doing? I'm on break, he said. Talking with you, fine woman. It's really my pleasure meeting you once again. And why is there no picture on your email profile? Is that a break between therapy sessions? Asked Celia. I probably haven't added one. It's weekend, he said. And then realising that it wasn't, said today's Friday. And I'm on break from work. OK, said Celia. So, how's your day going now? He asked. Same as it was a couple of minutes ago, she said. Wow, OK, he said. What's the time over there? It's nearly 4:30, she said. What time is it where you are? 10:27 a.m. over here in Chicago, he said. Remember that for a little later in the video. You're in Chicago again, said Celia. Illinois, he said. I thought I've told you before now. Well, said Celia, you've told me so many different stories, it's hard to know where you really are. And you won't tell me, and it's clear you're having problems with reality. Me, he said, having problems with reality? Well, I'm not. OK, dear, said Celia, if you say so. Then, realising that every good scammer has to ask silly questions, he started doing just that. So, have you eaten anything this afternoon yet? He said. That's if I am not mistaken. Mistaken about what? Said Celia. Have you eaten anything? He repeated the question. Have you eaten anything this afternoon? I don't eat, darling, said Celia. I'm a breatharian. What about you? Having no idea what Celia had just said, he said, well, for me, I don't know, 'cause I eat whenever I'm hungry. 'Cause of my work, I need it. Eating when you're hungry sounds good, said Celia. After a bit more pointless discussion, Celia asked him, Did I ask you what you do as a marine engineer? Well, I think so, he said. What do you mean? Said Celia. No, you didn't, he said. What do you do? She asked. I'm a diver, he said. And also a computer illiterate, he said, twice. For this I assist whenever they need me. Oh dear, said Celia, that's a shame. Don't you have to know how to use a computer for your work? I don't understand. What do you mean? He said. You mean you don't need to know how to use a computer, she said. I guess if you're a diver, it isn't the most important thing you'd need to know about. OK, woman, he said, tell me what I need most, since you're working with me. And then, quoting what she'd said, you mean you don't need to know how to use a computer, added, and for this I didn't say anything like this. You said you're computer illiterate, replied Celia. Yes, that's what I said. It's OK. Guess I made a mistake, he said. I expect your medication is playing tricks on your brain again, she said. That's probably why you had the stomachache. He'd told her that he'd had the stomachache for most of the day. Where was your last diving job? In Germany. Why all this question? Because you're just too much fun, mate. The following day, he disappeared, and Celia thought that was the end of it. But she'd asked him where he was that day, and was his stomachache better. In the middle of the afternoon, he came back and said, Have been working. What have you been doing? She said. Nothing much, he said. I went for a swim. You said you've been working, said Celia. I have. Means I went diver. Swim, if you don't understand. Where were you diving? She said. I went into the water to wet a pipe that burst. OK, but where are you working? Where is the pipe? None of us have taken any break, he said, 'cause it was serious. You haven't told me where you're working, Celia said. You only told me you're a marine engineer. So he sent her a photograph of a helicopter and a boat. Where's that? Asked Celia. Houston, Texas, USA, he said. And remember, just a little bit ago, he'd asked her what time it was in the UK, and then said to her, It's 10:27 over here in Chicago. Celia said, Is that where you live? OMG, said, That's not where I live. Like I told you before, I'm at work, which I'm out from where I leave original. Well, I live in Durham and I work in Durham, said Celia. One thing about my work, he said, most of us most be posted to a new company, so I have no power of my own. You have no power of your own, she said. What do you mean, darling? 'Cause anything the managers or management of the company says, that what everyone have to do. Oh, I see, she said. How long have you been in Houston? So that's why I'm not working in my hometown. Well, it's been last year have been posted here, before the COVID-19 came. That's a long time to be away from home, said Celia. Do you have to stay in a hotel, or does your company rent a house for you? Well, we do have a campground, he said. But you insist you can stay or not. The choice is yours to make. Oh my, said Celia. Do you mean you've been living in a tent for over a year? Not really, darling, he said. Just for something if I'm bored. I do sleep the camp, and it's not a tent. It's a building with beds and fun. I was going to make a little cartoon to go in there, but decided against it. A hostel, she said. Yes, he said. So if you only go to the campsite when you're bored, where do you live the rest of the time? At my manager's place, he said, 'cause we're close, soon close, so close. Close to what, darling? She said. My manager, he replied. That's why I sleep at his place. You're close to your manager? She asked. Yes, I am, he replied. This could be an interesting romance scam if he takes it further. A while later, Celia said, You didn't tell me if you were married or had kids. OK, he said, have been divorced, and also I have kids, 3 girls. How old are your girls? She asked. 20, 16, 12, he said. She said, You must miss them. Do they live with their mother? Michelle, Jennifer, Rose, he said. They do, but not all the time. Where do they live when they aren't with their mother? She asked. With me, at my house. But since I'm at work, they'll leave with thy mother for now. But you've been in Houston for the last 18 months, she said, and before that you were in Germany, so they are living with their mother. Yes, he said. I bet you can't wait to go home and see them, she said. Yeah, I can't wait, he said. It's been long. I just hope that the replacement party should come. They had a little discussion about whether he should find another job, as his current company seemed to treat him so badly, making him stay on a campsite and not allowing him leave, and then it all went quiet for a day. And then our man came back. Whoever Celia had been talking to before was magically replaced by someone who could speak much better English. He came back and he said, All right, honey. Honey, you haven't told me about your family. Are your parents still alive? Didn't I? Said Celia. My husband died 2 years ago. He was a lot older than me. I have a daughter who's in India with her boyfriend. She's 25. And a son, Dan, who's in Australia with his girlfriend. He's 23. I'm the only child of my parents, he said. My parents died long ago. My father was a military man who died in a military war when I was 7 years old, and my mother died when I was 13 years old. I was raised by a neighbouring teacher. Growing up was quite difficult for me, but I never gave up. That's all in the past, isn't it? Said Celia. You're a father of children, one of which is an adult. Yes, my dear, he said. Do you like Americans? Have you been to America before? I've never been to America, said Celia. How would I know if I like Americans? What a strange question. People are just people, aren't they? Do you like British people? Yes, he said, I like British people, and especially you. This member of the scamming group had a very interesting line in questioning, and I sincerely hope that his girlfriend or his wife, if he ever gets one, teaches him some proper manners. Fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. That's very kind of you, said Celia. Actually, he said, if we build a strong relationship with each other, I will travel directly from here to meet you in your country, so that we can be together and make some plans towards our future in America. Oh my, said Celia, you can come to Durham so we can meet. Yes, I can, he said. Once I get a new job and get paid, I will come over to see you. Where would you want to live? She asked. Anywhere you've chosen, he said. It will be fine with me, honey. So, please tell me more about yourself. What are your habits? Do you smoke, drink, flirt, and party all the time, etc.? Excuse me? What did he just say? I think you'd better take some time to think about that, Celia. Do I flirt and party all the time? I beg your pardon. What rude questions. It's just a question, he said. I didn't mean it that way, okay? Just want to know everything about you. Do you flirt and party all the time? She asked. No, he said. Remind me where your children live, she said. You'd want to be near them, wouldn't you? You remember, those children that live with him when they're not living with their mother. Why did you thought of such? He said. What do you mean? Said Celia. Don't you want to live somewhere near your children? I would have wanted to be near mine when they were younger. They live with their mother now, he said. She can take care of them. Father of the year or what, eh? I just want some peace of mind, he continued. All I need in a woman is a care, trust, understanding, sincerity, faithfulness, and respect in other for us to spend the rest of our lives together, and happily. I also value the sense of humour in a woman. What interests you in a man? Can't we just live in the house you already have? She said. They'd been talking about where they should live. Yes, my dear, he said. That would be nice if you want that. That would be much easier, wouldn't it? Where is your house? I don't think you should have asked him a question that involves geography, Celia. You know he has no idea where he is. Calumet Avenue City, Illinois State, he said. Well, he continued, I'm caring, outspoken, humorous, understanding, passionate and cheerful. Definitely you will be the one to see for yourself by the time we will be together. I really don't like a dirty woman. What about you? Okay, Celia, I really think you need to take some time to think about that one. What are the habits that you hate in a man? He continued. Calumet Avenue City, said Celia. I've never heard of that. Don't worry, he said. I will take you to my state very soon. Yes, she replied, but where is Calumet Avenue City? I've never heard of it. Just that I haven't been at rest because of me finding a new job, he said. You asked what habit I hate in a man, she said. I hate a man who can't answer a simple question and tries to change the subject. So I'll try again. LOL, he said. Where is Calumet Avenue City? Chicago, he said. He asked if she wanted to build a relationship and asked if she would stand by him. She said, so if I promise that, how do you know I'll be different? It's a silly question, isn't it? Along with, I really don't like a dirty woman. What about you? I don't know any dirty women, and that was very rude, wasn't it? I want a man who treats me with kindness and respect, and I'm not sure that you can do that. LOL, he said. What make you think I can't? It isn't funny, she said, because you think it's okay to ask rude, disrespectful questions. I'm sorry if you think such about me, he said, but I love and respect any woman I fall in love with. How would you feel if I asked if you like dirty men? Or maybe you do. Well, I'm sorry, he said. I think you're too harshly. Please calm down, okay? I didn't mean it that way. Well, I'm not sure what you did mean, she said then. What did you mean? Just want to know your like and dislike, he said. That's no answer, is it? You asked if I like dirty women. What did you mean? And do you like dirty men? No, I didn't, he replied. You did, said Celia. This is what you said. I really don't like a dirty woman. What about you? Or were you asking me if I'm a dirty woman? I know you're not a dirty woman, he said. Can you please stop this argument? Not until you either apologise for being rude or tell me what you meant, said Celia, and please think about what you're asking me in future. I'm sorry, honey, he said. I think I'm now getting used to you, he said. I'm now liking you the more. OK, she said, you're forgiven. Thank you, he said. So, what plans do you have for us in the future? I'd like to get a job, she said. Do you have colleges or universities in Chicago? Yes, he said. She replied, I might be able to get a job in one of their offices. I've got lots of experience. What will your manager think about you leaving him? I think I don't mind if you're bisexual. Remember, he'd told her that he was very close to his manager and that he was living with him. What? He said. Bisexual? I'm not. OK? But you told me you were close to your manager, she said, and sent him a screenshot of that part of the conversation. Does that mean I'm a bisexual? He asked. Are you telling me you're gay? She said. Will you stop all this now? He said. I'm not a gay, OK? How can I be gay and still have children, and also want to have a relationship with you? So you're bisexual, I guess, she said, because you say you're close to your manager and he's a man. Now you're saying you want to be with me. If you live with me, will you stop having relations with men? You're so funny, he said. She said, no, darling, I'm serious. I need to know. You and I will live under the same roof, he said, and how will I have men as relations? I will love and respect you as a woman. So you will stop having relationships with men, she asked. Care for you and always be by your side at all cost. Yes, I promise, he said, but I'm not a gay or a bisexual. I hope your manager won't be too upset when you leave him, she said. But you are bi, darling. You told me you're close to your manager and sleeping at his place. I don't mind, honestly. It really isn't helpful to keep denying your problems, darling. I've looked at the street where you live in Chicago. It looks lovely. Which part of the street do you live on? Giving up the unequal struggle, he said, I have to go. I will talk to you later. The next day, Celia's thoughts turned to flying to Chicago to meet him. He said, what are you doing right now? Looking up flights, she said. What are you doing? Nothing, he said. I'm just chatting with the woman my heart is beating for. I can't imagine I'm falling in love again. Honey, I have really fell for your charms. How did you make me fall for you? I have no idea, because she's been so rude to you, mate. Seriously, I can't wait to be living under the same roof with you. I'm so excited to come meet you, said Celia. I know you're going to make a good wife from the very first time I started chatting with you. Oh, is that the proposal? I'm so happy to have found you. My life is now fully complete because I have a warrior who is always there for me. Thank you for coming into my life. I promise never to hurt you. Kiss, kiss, kiss for you, honey. There was a bit more random silliness, and then his thoughts turned to getting a new job so that he could look after his new wife. Will you feel comfortable without me not capable of taking good care of you? He asked. So it really bothered me a lot, my love. I hope I can find a job too, said Celia. Yes, you will, honey, he said. If you want, she said, I can stay in Durham till you find a new job. OK, he said, I will get one soon. That's probably the best thing to do, she said. I'll come to meet you in June, then come home and stay here till you've found a job. OK, honey, he said. And then his thoughts turned to seeing if he could get any money out of Celia. My subscription is exhausted now, he said. What do you mean? Asked Celia. If you can assist me to get a card tomorrow, he said. What do you mean by a card? She asked. Like a birthday card? Steam card, he said, for subscription, so that I can communicate with you, because it's going to be exhausted this night. I'll look in Tesco tomorrow, she said. OK, he said. $200 Amazon card, honey. It will be enough for me. OK? That's very expensive internet. And tomorrow, as we all know, is always a day away. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like it, please share it, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again in another Keep Safe on the Net video on YouTube.